Hi boys and girls, go ahead and pull out your BOM or your book of math and turn to your table of contents. Today is lesson 40. So go ahead and write down break apart, solid figures, to find volume. All right, so number 40, break apart solid figures to find volume. All right, when you're done with that, go ahead and turn to your next clean page. And then glue down your notes. And then our I can statement today is I can break apart composite figures to find the volume. So I can break apart composite figures to find the volume. So this is very similar to the last lesson we did where we were looking at two different rectangular prisms, finding the volume of each of the individual shapes, and then adding those volumes together to find the composite volume. So looking at the first one, we have figure C and we have figure D. So we're going to find the one for C first. So right below this, you're going to write length times width times height, and we're going to plug in all those numbers. So starting off with C, I'm looking at that base. So I'm going to highlight the base. I'm going to see if I can find the dimensions of this. If I look at this one right here, I can look at everything that's parallel to it. So I can look up, I can look over here, and notice that none of those are labeled. So if I keep following this line right here, this one's parallel to it, and right below it's parallel to it. There's a 5 right there. So that tells me that this line is 5, this line is 5, and this one is a 5. Now I'm trying to find the other dimension of the base. If I come down here, I can see that this entire line, so from this corner all the way to this corner, that matches right here, is going to be 8 feet. But my rectangular prism doesn't cover the entire space. If I notice there's a little 2 right here and a 2 right here, these are not included in my figure. So if I know the total is 8, I can take away 2 to get 6, take away 2 more from 6 to get 4. So I know this space right here for this dimension is 4, because 4 plus 2 plus 2 gives me that 8. Now that I have the two dimensions for the base of my figure, I'm going to look and see which one is my length and which one is my width. So remember, your length is your longer side. So I've got a 5 by 4. So I'm going to fill that into my formula, 5 times 4. Now I need to look and see how tall or how high that figure is. If I go back and look, there's nothing marked here, nothing marked here, but over here on the side I have a 1. So that tells me that there is a height of 1. So I'm going to start by multiplying to find my base. So 5 times 4 gives me 20. Bring down that 1 from your height for a total of 20 feet cubed. I'm using the feet because that's my measurement for my problem. And remember, we're talking about cubes, so it's cubed feet. All right, I can also fill that into the blank up here. 20 feet cubed. Now I'm going to look at prism D. So I'm going to highlight the base of prism D. And if I write down my formula, so length times width times height. Looking at this one, I can see that there's an 8 and a 5. So my base is an 8 by a 5. I've got two of those dimensions, so an 8 by 5. And then I'm looking for the height of this figure. So I have to go until I find something that's labeled, and I notice that there's a 3 over here for the height. Right here, that 3. So my formula is 8 times 5 times 3, if I fill them in. 8 times 5 gives me 40. Multiply it by 3. So think about our rule. We can multiply the first two factors. So 4 times 3 gives me 12. I have 1 0, so I'm going to add that 1 0 right there. And I'm working with feet cubed. So now I've got the volume of both of these two figures. To find the composite, all I have to do is add them both together. So 20 plus 120 gives me 140 feet cubed. All right, the next problem, we're going to look at this figure two different ways. So we started doing this with our practice sheet. First thing I want you to do is to divide this box in half. And I want you to notice that both of these shapes are exactly the same. We're going to break them up in different ways to see that depending on how you break them up, your formulas are going to have different numbers in them, but when you eventually add them back together, it'll give you the same combined volume. So for this first picture, I want you to draw a line right here, which makes it look like we have two boxes sitting beside each other. And the other one over here, for box B over here, we're going to draw a line going horizontally. So now it looks like you have a box on the bottom and a little cube sitting up on top. Okay, start at the first one. This is box A, so we're going to label this box B just to help us. So we're going to start the A box. And we're looking for that length times width times height. So looking at this shape, I need to find the base. We can't really see the base down here, so we're going to kind of look at the top to help us. So we're going to highlight two of those dimensions to help us. So a length times our width. So volume equals length times width times height. So based off of this, I'm not sure what this is yet, but I do know this one over here. I know it's going to be a 3. So I have to figure out this one. If I bring this piece straight down, I can tell it's part of this 10. So I need to go look and see if I can find what this piece is worth. If I follow things that are parallel to it, I can see that this line is worth 5. So if I've used 5 of the entire 10, what's left over? 5. So now I've got my two dimensions for the base of my figure. I have a 5 by 3. Now to find the height of this figure, I just look up the sides and I notice that there's a 6 telling me how high box A is. So if I solve this, 5 times 3 is 15, and 15 times 6. So for 15 times 6, we can stack them to solve. So 6 times 5 gives us 30, and then 6 times 1 is 6, plus your 3 is 9. So this one's going to give me 90 inches cubed. All right, now we're going to look at that box B in this. So volume equals length times width times height. Right, so I'm going to find the base again. I can't see all the base, it's kind of hidden, so I'm going to look at the top to help me. And I'm going to highlight those two dimensions. So for this one, I can see that this side is a 5, but this one is not labeled. This 2 goes with the height right here. So I need to figure out what this line is worth. If I keep following them, everything's parallel to it, I can see that this side is worth a 3. So right here again, I'm looking at figure B. I'm looking at the base, but my base is hidden, so I'm going to use the top of it. I've got my length and my width. Well, the width is not labeled, so I'm going to go parallel. And notice a 3. So this is a 5 by 3. Now I'm looking for the height of this figure. That 2 right there tells me how tall this shape is. So when I saw these two, 5 times 3 is 15. And then add your height to it. So 15 times 2 gives us 30. So now I'm ready to add these two different volumes together. So 90 plus 30 gives me 120 inches cubed. All right, look at the one over here to the side. This box on top is B, so the box on the bottom is going to be box A. We're going to go ahead and find A first. So volume equals length times width times height. So starting off with that box A, I'm going to look for the base. I can see that this is a 10 very easily. And now I'm looking back for the width. My 10 is labeled, but this one is not labeled. That 2 is for how tall it is. So I have to go parallel to this line. So parallel, 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 and I get to a 3. So this is a 10 by 3. And then we're looking to see how tall it is. The 2 right there tells me it's 2 layers. So 10 times 3 gives us 30 times that 2 for a 60. So this is 60 and our units are inches. So 60 inches cubed. Okay, looking at shape B up there. So this rectangular prism, we're going to find its base. I can't see the base right here, it's hidden. So I'm going to go to the top. And I can see that one of the dimensions is labeled. I can see that this line is worth 3. Right here, this line is worth a 3. I'm looking for this one. So if I take this section and I come down, it's part of this entire group of 10. So if I look at this part right here, coming down is worth 10. So I need to figure out what this section is worth. If I come up here, I can see that this line is worth a 5. And this line's worth a 5. So if this is 5 of the 10, what's left? That 5. So I've got a 5 by 3. A 5 by 3. And then I'm looking to see how tall this shape is. I know this box down here, A, is 2. This 6 tells me the entire thing, both box A and B combined give me 6. If A is worth 2, what's left over for box B? Should be a 4. So 4 is here and a 2 is there. So this is a 4 for the height. All right, so 5 times 3 gives us 15 times that 4. So 4 groups of 15, and if I double 15, I get 30. And if I double 30, that's going to give me 60. So my last step is to add them together. So I've got 60 plus 60 to get 120 inches cubed. So you'll notice it doesn't matter how you solve it, if you do your line up and down or sideways, so vertical or horizontal, they're still going to give you the same answer. If your answers for the individual formulas are going to be a little bit different, but your total combined will still be the same. All right, our last question, we're going to break this box up right here, and then kind of go a little sideways with that one. It's going to look like we have a box on the bottom and then one kind of balancing up on top. This is box X, so let's call this box Y. And I'm going to start with box X, trying to find its formula. So volume equals length times width times height. So start off with the base of it. I can't see the base of figure X here, but if I go to the top, I can tell that this entire line is a 10, and I'm looking for this little side piece right here. If I look through, I know that this is parallel to this, it's parallel to this, which gives me the number 1. So this is a 10 by 1. Now I'm looking to see how tall this is. So I can keep going all these parallel lines and notice that there's a 3 right here. This 3 tells me how tall shape X is. So 10 times 1 is 10 times 3. So 10 times 3 is 30. This is also using the unit feet. So this is 30 feet cubed. Okay, looking at box Y. So volume equals length times width times height. All right, we're going to highlight the base of this one. We can't see all of it. I can see that one side of it's worth a 1, but I have to figure out what this little side right here is worth. This side right here is part of this big long 10. I know that from here to here, if I slide this all the way up, it's going to be worth some number. I know that this section over here is worth a 4 because of this number. So if I'm using 4 of this 10, so if I'm using, here's the 4, if I'm using 4 of this 10, what's going to be left? Good, a 6. So I've got a 6 by 1 for the base of this figure. And now I'm looking for the height of it. The only thing I see is that this entire section, both of these boxes combined, is an 8. So I'm going to have to look a little bit further. I know that this one is worth a 3. So if I take 3 of this 8, what's going to be left? Or 3 plus this number will give me 8. So 5. So this one has a height of 5. So 6 times 1 is 6. Times your 5 gives you 30. So this one's worth 30 feet cubed. And then our last step is to combine both of those values. So 30 plus 30 gives me 60 feet cubed. All right, go ahead and pause this video until you're ready to do the independent practice. All right, so for today's practice, you guys are going to look at this sheet called Irregular Volume Shapes. They are not broken up for you. The first one, I'm going to help you break it up. The second one, I'm going to let you do it on your own. So looking at this first one, I would like for you to extend this line that's right here. So kind of go in the same angle, extend this line. That's going to give you a rectangular prism on the left and a rectangular prism on the right. We're going to label this one A and this one B. So over here it says show your work. Go ahead and put the letter A and put volume equals length times width times height. And then for B over here, again put volume equals length times width times height. You're going to find all those numbers, and then you're going to combine your volumes together. Down here for the last question, you have two choices for this one. This one can be a little tricky because it's hollow, like you can see through the shape. You can either draw your line down right here, which I kind of recommend. I think that's a little bit easier. Or you can draw it going across. Okay? My recommendation would be going down. So if I were to go down with it, it'd be right there. And back here, you'd have this little dash line. Okay? So you're looking at this shape right here. And then you're looking at this shape over here. So you've got this tall rectangular prism staying up. You've got this other one kind of laying down. Same thing again. We're going to label this shape A and this shape B. So you'll do both of your works over here, A and B. When you guys are finished with this sheet, make sure that you turn it into my box so I can check over it.